My name is Jill Baird, and I work for the state of North Dakota. I am an information technology specialist at Edutech, which is the Educational Services Division within North Dakota Information Technology. NDIT is doing whatever possible to ensure that the entities we support are able to function in a wide variety of situations. For K-12 schools, we know our North Dakota administrators and educational personnel are carefully navigating how to proceed with classes, communication, and collaboration while addressing concerns about COVID-19. Edutech's mission remains to provide technology services and leadership to improve teaching and learning in ND, North Dakota pre-K-12. We are continuing that mission by providing this webinar series and are here to support our North Dakota K-12 community with support, training, and resources. There are other Edutech staff supporting this webinar, so if you have any questions, please let one of us know. We will also have some time at the very end to answer any questions. So without any further, we shall get started talking about PowerPoint. So PowerPoint, I'm starting with PowerPoint, and I'm actually not even starting in presentation mode today, just because what I'm showing you, a lot of this is going to be interactive. So I want to show you some of the features of PowerPoint. I currently have the online version presenting, and later on I'm going to bring in the desktop version, so I'll be flipping back and forth between the two of those throughout the session. And so the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is Pear Deck. So Pear Deck is a great tool that you can use to help with your presentations. And this is really great for students because it makes your PowerPoints and presentations interactive slideshows. To get Pear Deck, you just need to go to the website peardeck.com. They have a couple different levels. The premium trial or premium version is typically $150 per year, but currently they are offering a 90-day trial for the premium. There's some really great features in the premium version, so this is a good chance for you to see what it's like and interact with your students this way. So then you can determine if this is something that you want to continue later next year. The basic version is free, and normally I would use that, but because they have the 90-day trial right now, I jumped on that and said, yep, I want to utilize that premium version for at least 90 days. And the great part about Pear Deck is that it really integrates seamlessly with both Microsoft and Google. Gives you the ability to add slides into a presentation to create an interactive slideshow. And so I'm going to show you a little bit about how that works in the next few slides. There is a PowerPoint online add-in. And so when you get that add-in, it's going to show up on your home ribbon. And so for me, I've got a little bit too much going on, so I have to come over here to more options. And now I see Pear Deck down here. So when I am in more options, I can see where Pear Deck is. It's right down here. When I click on this, it has another add-in window that comes in, and it asks me to log in. Now I already have an account created, so it's easy for me to log in. But if you've never created an account, it's very easy to do so. So you'll go to peardeck.com. So I have Pear Deck loaded up right here. And so when I come into peardeck.com, this is their homepage. They have a lot of really great resources on here. There's solutions. They have information for school districts. They have information about Microsoft, Google. They have PearPop, which is some fun things that you can do with Pear Deck. Be Internet Awesome. So they're trying to make sure that we understand how to be safe online. They have webinars, so daily webinars for remote teaching. So there's a lot more details. I'm just doing a quick overview of Pear Deck today, just because this is one of the really cool add-ins that we can have for PowerPoint. So if you are interested in more details, please check out their solutions, check out their resources. They have training, they have help videos, they have a great blog, Pear Deck Efficacy, how-to handbook. A lot of great information just out on Pear Deck, and they also have that pricing information, so the breakdown of what you get in both types of sessions. To join a session, we're not doing this quite yet, but you cannot click on join a session from here. Or as a teacher, I want to actually get in and get registered for Pear Deck. So I'm going to go to teacher login. Now, teacher login, it's going to say what kind of account would you like to log in with? And so I'm going to log in with Microsoft. Now, for me, I've already created my account, so it is just going to do a quick sign in. And so I'm going to go this way, type in my username and password. And this will take a few minutes. If you have never created an account with Pear Deck, it will ask you some registration information. So it's going to ask you about what school you're at. So what your zip code is, what school you're part of, what you teach, some of that general information, just so that they can keep track of who is using Pear Deck and how it's being utilized with classrooms. So I am logged in here with Pear Deck. When I come up here, I see my email address, so that's my login information. I can go to my account and find more information about what I have listed in here. I can see how many days I have left with Pear Deck Premium, so I see that I have 81 days left. I can always upgrade my account from here, or just leave it until my 90 days are up and I will go back to being a free version of Pear Deck. So as I come in here, I can see I have a pair pop, so skip the prep, pop, open a session immediately. So you have some prompts that are automatically created. We can create a presentation in PowerPoint with Pear Deck. So you can create it from here, but it will actually direct you back into PowerPoint online. And then there's also information about how Pear Deck works. As I keep scrolling down, I can see present a file from OneDrive, so I can actually open up my OneDrive from Pear Deck and present what I would like to present out of Pear Deck. There's the blog posts are in here as well, and I have previous sessions and also help screens available at Pear Deck. So Pear Deck, why is this something that I love so much? Well, what happens is that when I get logged in, I am able to add templates, or I am able to create slides. And when I create those slides, it makes it interactive, but then it also gives the teacher a little bit of control over what the student sees on their page. So I've got my Pear Deck add-in up here. If you don't have this add-in, how you can get this is by going to Insert. And so when I come to Insert, I am going to come over to Add-ins. When I click on Add-ins, it will have a pop-up that comes up and it will take me to the Office Add-in store. So I can see what my add-ins are, and I know that I just have Pear Deck. I can see the admin managed ones, which we don't have any currently, but then I can go into the store. And so with the store, I can see what add-ins are available. So if I can say, oh yeah, I know Power BI. Power BI, this is a Microsoft tool. I'm going to add this in because it's going to create visualizations within my PowerPoint. So I can click Add. And when I do that, it's going to say by clicking Continue, you agree to the provider's license terms and privacy policy. I know that we usually don't read our privacy policies or license terms. It's sometimes a good idea to look over those to see what they contain. And so if you are okay with all of this, you would click Continue. I don't need this one right now, so I'm just going to hit Cancel. And I am back into PowerPoint. And so I'm in PowerPoint. So now I can go and present with Pear Deck. And I'm going to do that in just a minute. I want to explain a few more things before I get into Pear Deck. So I can click Present from Pear Deck right from in here. So I don't have to get logged into Pear Deck every single time and choose a file whenever I want to present a Pear Deck slide deck. So I can actually just set up a presentation right from in here. I also have additional options. So when I click on these 3 lines, I can see how Pear Deck works. I can require student logins, and this is going to require students to log in with their email. I'm actually going to turn this off today, just in case, just because we don't really need that right now. We're adults, and so we don't need to worry about our emails right this minute. I can review my sessions. I can also log out from this point. Close that out. A few other things over along this area. They have templates. So this is their template library, and their template library, these are just 2 sets of their different templates that they have. We actually go to their template library. They have so many templates that you can add in to PowerPoint. So with this, you will close out of that, come into Pear Deck templates, and you can scroll through and you can see, okay, there's templates for the beginning of class. There's templates for building community. There are templates for deepening instructional practice, end of lesson stuff, end of lesson slides. And so all sorts of different slides, social studies, ELA, science, gratitude. I got an email that there was something for just COVID-19 as well. So there are a lot of great templates available. Some of these you will have to go through, but all you have to do is click PowerPoint to download these slides, and then it will open this up, and you can come in here, File. Should be able to go to File. There we go. And download this file for yourself, and then upload it back into your OneDrive. Or I can take a slide and I can say, this slide right here is one I want to use. So I can copy this to Control-C, come over here into Pear Deck. Should be able to Control V. Nope, that's not working. So you actually do need to, not sure why that's not working. So they have a lot of different options, but they just have a lot of options for their templates. Yeah. So you can copy those into your Pear Deck or into your slides as you are working as well. Okay, so let's actually present. There's 2 different modes of presenting. We have student-paced mode and we have instructor-paced mode. The student-paced mode is allowing your students to have to be able to work at their own pace. And so when students are working through their lessons, they are going through their lessons at their own pace. It's asynchronous, but the students are going through the lesson and they're clicking through and they are going through the Pear Deck as you want them to go through it. Our other option is instructor-paced. With the instructor-paced, you are the one who is controlling what is on their screen. And so it's going to be synchronous. When your students are looking at the screen, they're going to be responding to the same slides if you have response questions. And there is always the option of you starting off the lesson, conducting them to the point that you want to get them at, and then have your gradual release, allowing the students to go into student-paced mode. And so when they go into student-paced mode, they would be asynchronous then. So you can start off with instructor, you can start off with student, and then you can always reverse it later on in the instructor or in the teacher dashboard. So I'm going to start off with instructor-paced. I'm going to close out a few of these. Okay, so the way that students join these lessons is by going to this address, this web address, joinpd.com. When they go to joinpd.com, you have your students join with this code. So SPXRN is our code. And so we have one student in here. Please feel free to join our class if you have the ability to. And so this is nice to be able to see what it would be like for your student. So I'm hoping a few others will join or not. Okay, I got 2. Okay, this is okay if you haven't had a chance to join yet, because when I hit start class, you're still able to join because the code is still posted in the upper right corner of my screen. If all of a sudden I realize, oh, I'm missing a lot of students, I can come up here, click on this, and it will make it big again. So for students, yes, thank you guys. So I am able to start presenting in this mode now. And so whatever I see on my screen, the web page that you opened up should also show what I have on my screen. So I'm controlling what you have on that screen. I can click through my slides down here by moving the forward arrow. I can also say, okay, I don't need to go through all of these slides again. So I have this index button that I can click on, and I can find which slide I want to go to. So I want to go to the teacher dashboard right now because I want to explain what this is. So the teacher dashboard, when I am in my teacher led mode, actually any mode, I can come down here, and where these 3 dots are, I can click on the 3 dots and I have options. And so I can end the session. I can turn on student pace, so then the students would be able to click through as they wish. I also have the option of opening my dashboard in a new tab or a new window, and I can also make this a full screen. Now I'm going to open this in a new window, so then it has a new pop-in. This dashboard, I don't have to have it on my computer. So if I don't want to be monitoring my students from my computer because I want my computer to be what is up on the screen, I can pull up my iPad, and my iPad then can be what I use for my teacher dashboard. So I can log into my teacher dashboard with my iPad and monitor my students that way. It also works on a cell phone. So basically any device that you can pull up a browser, you'll be able to do this. So for this, here's my teacher dashboard. I can see my roster of who is in here. So I can see, oh, somebody logged off. So I can monitor what students logged off. I can also see what they do as we continue on with these slides. Okay, so the next one is question options. So there's a lot of question options that I was mentioning when I was in PowerPoint over here. So I have all of these different options, and I'm going to show you what they look like in a Pear Deck presentation. And so text, choice, number, website, draw, draggable, and then there's also templates from Pear Deck. So the first question is, what is your favorite color? And so you as the students would be able to write in your response. You'll have a response that pops up on your screen, and you would be able to type in your answer. And I have 3 of 4 responses. Now I have 2 options. I can show responses right here, or I can go to my teacher and I can see, okay, Raven said white, Lemur said purple, Rabbit said red, and Shrimp said blue. And so if I want all of these to show up, I can say, yep, show all of these responses. But if somebody says something inappropriate or something I don't want to show up because it might give away something like a secret, I can actually hide that response. And so then when I come back over here and click show responses, it's only going to show those 3 responses, and it's not going to show the one that I hid. So you don't see red showing up over here. So this is kind of a nice option. I can show that response, and all of a sudden red shows up. I can also star this response, and then that is the only response that shows up on my screen to my students. So the students are seeing this screen, are seeing the responses, and I can manipulate that information. The other nice thing is that you don't see who is responding as a student. I can see who's responding as a student, but the students don't see that. So that is a really nice tool. I've seen the responses on my screen. You should be seeing them on the screen that I'm presenting my Pear Deck to. You're not seeing that?
No, I just see the question still.
Oh, because you wouldn't. Sorry, you wouldn't see that. So the presenting. Sorry, thank you for reminding me about that. But it's been a little bit of time since I've actually been a student in a Pear Deck, but the student would only continue to see the response or the question. You're correct. The responses, these pop up on the screen, so the teacher would be presenting that to the students, and then they can talk about it as they scroll through. You would see your own, you're seeing your own response, right, Lee?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah. So you can still see your own response, but you would need to look at a monitor, which is why we have that second screen for the teacher showing the responses and providing a little bit more details for those teachers. And that's another reason why Pear Deck kind of recommends that you have a secondary device like your phone or an iPad to look at those responses that students are providing. Okay, so if I go to the next one, we have what color is the sky? And as a student, you're going to see multiple choice options. And so I have 2 out of 4 responses. I'm just going to show this. So far, 2 people are saying the sky is blue. Very good. 3 people. And my 4th person, they might have. Awesome. I wish somebody would say the wrong answer. So you can see on my screen what the correct answer is. I can also lock the screen. So I can give my students some time. So when I have the question up, I can say, okay, you have so much time, and I can monitor it. And then at some point I can lock the screen, because currently, could somebody change their answer? I think you should be able to change your answer. There we go. So 3 people changed their answer. Awesome. So 3 people changed their answer, but I have the option now of locking the screen, and now you as students cannot see, or you're not able to change the responses for this. The other really cool thing is that I can set times. So, excuse me, when I have this lock screen option, I can say, okay, it's going to lock screens in 30 seconds, or it's going to lock screens in 1 minute or 3 minutes. So there's a few different options with locking screens. If I go to the next slide, take the quiz at this link and write down your results. As students, you're going to see a web address that pops up on your screen, and so you can go to this web address. So it's down here at the bottom, so you can browse that web address. You don't have to actually take the quiz. I'm just showing this as an example of what you can do, but you can go in and take that quiz. Next question is, how many snacks did you have yesterday? Be honest. I think I had like 5. Okay, and I can show my results, and somebody was really honest. I love that. So somebody said I had 4, 5, 50. So you can see that there's a wide range. And so I have this way far outlier. I can see that my average was actually about 6 if we are discounting the outlier. So I can get an idea of where people are at for a number. The next one is draw a picture of a dog. So you would be able to draw a picture. If I show responses, I see one person's response. Somebody's starting to draw a picture of a dog. However, if other people start doing this, I think it's going to show up on top of it. So I can see that Raven has started drawing this. And this is one of those situations where it is nice to have the presentation or the presenter option, because then I can see the different options that people are drawing. Okay, I can scroll down through these. So I can scroll down and I can see somebody else is drawing a picture of a dog, and so I get all sorts of pictures as I continue to scroll down. So thank you for drawing the two people who are doing that. The next one is, where do you live in North Dakota? So this is going to be a drag the icon to where you actually live. So you should see an icon right about here on your screen, and you will drag it to wherever you live on the map. And so I can start showing responses and I can see where people are living. And so this is just an example. There's a lot of, there's some other options when you do the drag the icon. And as you can see, people are going to start moving their icons around, and they can continue to move them around until you lock the screen or move on to the next slide. And so I'm going to go back to this slide, and I'm actually going to add a new prompt. So I can add a prompt in the middle of this presentation if all of a sudden I'm like, you know what, I'm not getting everything that I want from my students. I'm going to click new prompt. So I have options. I have beginning of class, during class, end of class. These are all things that I can add into my PowerPoint. And so I have these. There's draggables. I can reconfigure the current content that I have. So I can make it text, draggable, number, drawing. Or I can come back here and I can say, let's do a stress check. Where are we at? How are we feeling about this? And so I can throw a stress check in, and students can say, I'm in a good space. They should have a draggable icon. And so we can see that somebody is not sure where they're at right now. Okay, so something's bothering them. They can still focus. Or somebody else is at about a 5, somebody's a 3. So you have the option of dragging those icons around. When I get to the end of my presentation, all I have to do is click end. And so I can click end right here. I can name it. So I'm going to call this EduTech AM. I'm going to save this. And so it is saving this PowerPoint. And that extra slide that I added in, you guys remember where I added that in? It's not there anymore. So that's only for this one specific PowerPoint, or that one specific session. And so I'm going to come back into my session, ignore that, and I can into my Pear Deck, and I'm going to go back and look at my sessions. And so I am in Archive Active. It should show up. There it is. Okay, so I've closed out this session. I started it today at 10:20. I have closed it out, and so I can come back in here and review it again. So I can open the dashboard. I can review what happened in that session. So if I'm really not interested in looking at the student responses at the time that it's happening, I don't have to do that right then. I can come back in here later and check this out. And so as you can also see over along the left, I can see what the students are seeing too on their screen. So it shows what your favorite color is. I can see my responses over here. So this is just a nice tool as well. I can exit out of it again. And I'm back at my Pear Deck homepage. To create a slide with all of this on here, so if I'm going to create the color one again, I'm going to just hit plus new. So I have a new slide that I've created, and I'm going to just say, what is your favorite animal. And so with this, I can add a text question. So I want this to be a text question that students are going to type in. I've typed in my slide, so I have my slide set up, and now I just come over here and add in the text for ask students a question, and it's going to say, okay, so when a student does this, it's going to respond to your prompt. I'm going to update my slide, and this just became an interactive slide for my students to respond to. So it's pretty easy to complete and to create slides, and Pear Deck has a lot of great options as well. So you can check Pear Deck out for more details. Pear Deck resources, Microsoft Educator Center, which is a great resource. I really recommend this for everybody. They have a class in there, or course in there, and it's called Deliver Powerful Learning Moments with Pear Deck. And so this is showing you exactly what you need to do to add Pear Deck into PowerPoint. It gives you more details, it gives you more descriptions than what I just went over. So definitely recommend this. How Pear Deck works, I mentioned that when I was on Pear Deck's website, same with their help screen and their blog. A lot of great resources in there. Are there any questions about Pear Deck at this point in time?
So Jill, the students are not identifiable, correct? So they're just given a random name. So this would, I'm assuming, be good for just kind of a quick formative assessment to see where everyone is at in the class, or an exit ticket or something like that?
Yes, this is a great formative assessment tool. When you are having students, so I mentioned earlier that I didn't have you sign in with your login. If I would have required you to sign in with your email address, then that would have been identifiable in the teacher view. So
Okay,
when I was in the teacher dashboard, it would have shown me all my student names. It's still going to be incognito when you are a student or when the teacher is presenting on the screen.
Okay, so would the students have to create an account then, or just enter their email address?
Just enter their email address, and
Okay.
actually this works really great with Teams. You're able to sync this up with Teams and add a Pear Deck event into a team. I just didn't go into those details because
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
let's just focus on PowerPoint, and maybe the guys will be able to add this into the teams, additional teams resources that we have coming up.
Good, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so let's continue on. Let's go into subtitles in a slideshow. Okay, I need to move into my desktop version. Scroll down here. There I am again. So it's a little bit of going back and forth today between the two versions of PowerPoint because there's some resources that you can only get in the online version, and you can only get in the desktop version, and they might act a little bit different in each version. So I want to make sure that I'm providing you with as many options as possible. So the cool thing is that we have subtitles in slideshows. This is going to show up under slideshow. So if I come up here to slideshow, excuse me, I have start subtitles. Here it is right here. This is going to display real-time subtitles as I present. So as I'm speaking, the words I'm saying will appear on the screen in whatever language I desire. So when I click on this, I'm going to get a pop-up that comes up. The first time you do this, it's going to take a little bit of time because it has to install this process in. So it says 5 minutes. I did this a couple days yesterday, and it took more like about 10 minutes. So the first time you do this, make sure you're not in the middle of class, or make sure you're doing this ahead of time. Okay, so I am speaking in English, and so speaking in English, I have other languages that I can explore and add in. And so I can say, okay, I'm working with a parent who is speaking Spanish and I can't understand Spanish. I'm still going to have mine in English, but I am going to change the language that is displaying in subtitles to Spanish. So then I can speak with my parent and they can read my screen and still be able to understand what I'm saying. It's a great tool for the language barrier situations that we might have with EL students. And so I can click next. It's going to take a second to start up. Then, okay, this you're seeing it from the presenter mode, but I have, it says follow along in Translator. So I can open up Translator using this QR code, but you can also see that as I'm speaking, that we are getting that translation coming across at the top of my screen. And so if I switch this, swap presenter mode, there we go. I can start talking again. It stopped working. This was working yesterday. Okay, there it is. So it's still translating for me down on the screen as soon as I unmute. So I can unmute this and I have my translations still going across at the bottom of my screen. I can move this around. And so this is just a nice translation tool. I can come back into settings and I can see, okay, what size subtitle do I have? Where am I showing my subtitles? I might change what microphone I'm using. I can also close, and I'm going to stop the subtitles. I can also flip it around. So instead of me translating to Spanish, I can say I want my Spanish parent to speak or to translate into English. And so then the parent would be able to talk to me, I would be able to understand them, and we would be able to have some of those conversations that might be a little difficult without translators. So there are, if I get back to English, there are a lot of different languages. So everything from Welsh or Ukrainian to Polish, Hungarian, Icelandic, French, Bosnian. We have all sorts of languages in here. So this is a really great tool if we do have some of those situations where we have some language barriers. So that's not right. There it is. So slideshow and then start subtitles. Add-ins. Add-ins are a great way to enhance your PowerPoint experience. And so I mentioned earlier that you can go in the online version. And in the online version, I just come up here to Insert and go to Add-ins. And when I do that, it will show me what my add-in options are in the store. If I am in my desktop version, I can go to add-ins by going to File, and then I'm going to click on Options. In Options, I will come down here to add-ins. So when I do that, I can see what my active add-ins are, my inactive ones, any document related add-ins or disabled application add-ins. But if I want to manage this and add stuff in, I can come down here to manage PowerPoint add-ins and click go. When I do that, it will show me what my available add-ins are that I can add in, or I can add new. Often, if you have an add-in that is going to be something that's safe, that PowerPoint recognizes as a true add-in, you don't even need to do all of this process. So for example, I added in Presentation Translator a couple weeks ago, and I was ready to do this whole add-in process. I didn't need to do that. It automatically installed when I downloaded Presentation Translator and installed it on my computer. So I didn't need to worry about anything else. Same with Camtasia. I just added Camtasia onto my computer a few weeks ago. That added in automatically. I didn't need to do anything to this. So they are making add-ins that are safe, a little easier to work with, but if you do need to add anything in, this is the process that you will take. So the presentation translator, this is a really nice option because I can translate my slides. And so what happens is I'm going to open up another file. And I'm going to do this one. So when you translate your slides, it actually like resaves your entire file. So this is a second copy that I made of this PowerPoint. And what I will do is I will go to the slideshow tab again, and then I'm going to click on translate slides. This will translate everything I have on my slides to a different language. So my current slides are in English, and I'm going to translate them to another language. So if I want to translate them to Spanish, I can do this and click Spanish and translate slides. Now it's going to say, okay, let's save this. Let me just save this to my desktop. Save that. Downloads. I'll just save to downloads and save that. Now it's translating all of my slides. This is a picture, so it's not going to translate that. But as soon as I move into the next one, I can see it has translated my slides into Spanish. And so when I come down here to translator, I just pulled a slide that, let me see. Yeah, this is the example. I just have the description of what this webinar is, and you can see that it has translated that description into Spanish. I can change this translation too, so I can add another translation. So if I want to say, I'm going to translate it from, okay, I'm going to do a different one. There we go. So this one. So I'm going to translate this. There we go. I'm going to translate this from English. Maybe not. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to translate this from English. And I want to translate this into French. So I am a high school French teacher. I want my students to actually read my PowerPoint in French. So they're getting their directions in French. So I can translate this from English into French or whatever foreign language it is that you're teaching, or if you want to translate your slides for parents, I can translate those slides, save it, and once again, all of my slides are being translated from English into a foreign language. So this is in French. It resaves it every time. So up here you can see it says PowerPoint webinar slides translated, and it says FR. So this is French. If you look at the other one, I think this is Spanish, it says ES, so Espanol. So it does indicate what language you are translating. I added this translated in here earlier just so I had that that key that I'm translating it to. So there's some nice options then with the translation. So let's go back into my non-translated slides. So here we are back in my translation example. It's back in English. And the next thing I'm going to talk about is Presentation Coach. So Presentation Coach, this is a nice tool that we have available. There's two different versions. So the first version that I'm showing you is in the desktop version. So I'm in the desktop version again. I'm back in slideshow. And I have rehearsed timings. And so when this does this, it's actually going to have my slideshow, and I have multiple monitors going on right now. So it's going to pop up on another monitor, and it will actually record me presenting and practicing presenting. And so it's going to get my timing down so I know how long I spend on each slide. And it's going to automatically translate or transition between different slides depending on my timing. So if I say I'm timing for this one slide and I practice, and I keep practice a couple different times, my average for that slide is going to be, or my time for that slide is going to be used. So then I can step away from my computer. I don't have to have a clicker in my hand or a mouse in my hand all the time. It will just automatically transition between the different slides for me at the correct timing. The other option that I have is in the online version. So when I come into the presentation or slideshow, I have the option of rehearsing with coach. This is a really cool option because I get feedback, instant feedback with Rehearse with Coach when I'm practicing. And so when I click Rehearse with Coach, it's going to take me into my presentation, and it's going to say, welcome to PowerPoint Presenter Coach. I'm going to start rehearsal. So now it says start talking and we'll provide feedback about your speech. And so it is listening to my pace and my tone, and it's determining with its AI software how well I am doing. So I can start clicking through my presentation. And as I click through my presentation, it will start to give me feedback. And so the feedback at the end will show up in a report like this. And so we'll see a live report in a moment after I close out of this. But it says, keep going, you've got this, keep going. So it's telling me that I'm doing a good job. However, if I start to speed up, and I'm just going to read this report in a really fast pace so you can see that it does detect this. It's going to say, summary, good job rehearsing, keep up the hard work, 335, 26 slides, originality, you avoided reading slide text aloud, that's good to keep the audience engaged with your message, no sensitive phrases found, good job. And use inclusive speech, fantastic, you didn't say too many filler words in your speech, low pitch variation, it's not telling me that I'm talking way too fast because my pace is really, really fast right now and it's not determining it. Why isn't it telling me that it usually pops up? It usually has a little pop-up that comes here. It's not doing it right now. So I'm going to close out of this and exit out. And so then I get a feedback. And so it tells me directions of what I should be doing. It tells me my pitch, what I should do to fix my pitch, if I should do that. It says my pace is okay. It got a little fast, so I know that it's not great, but I know that I was doing that on purpose. So I have a good pace. I know that I need to adjust my pitch to sound more polished and confident, try to avoid using filler words, pause and take breath. So it's giving me feedback that will help when I actually present. So this is a nice report to receive. Okay, the next thing is dictation. Dictation, we have the option of using dictation. In the online version, it's from home, so I can do the dictate. And when I click on that, I can determine what language to dictate in. So this is nice if you want to have your students read a book and you can monitor their fluency. If you have foreign language students that are in Spanish, Italian, German, French, or Chinese, you can have them speak in one of those languages, and so you can monitor their speaking phrases and see how accurate they are with their speaking. When I come into PowerPoint with dictation, that is found at home again, and I can come over to dictate and same languages as well. So there's some additional languages that will be coming out eventually, but these are the ones that we know are good languages to use. Math and equation is the next thing I want to show you. This is a really good tool for our math teachers. A lot of times we hear math teachers say, oh, it's so hard to like add in equations and I can't use my mouse because it like is really awful of how it shows up. So I can come into insert an equation, do the drop down, and I can add some equations that are already preset. To click down here, and then I can come back in here. I can also insert a new equation. So when I click insert new equation, it will give me all of these different options. So I can add in fractions, I can add in script, operators, functions, matrices. I can also ink an equation. So if I want to say 1 over 2x, and you can see that my handwriting on here is really horrible. I'm going to say minus 4x, and then I'm going to do like a bracket and do x. And so as I keep writing this out, it's going to automatically determine what input I want to put in. So I can say insert, and that automatically creates that really nice looking equation. So I don't have to have horrible handwriting. I don't have to use a camera, like a document camera if I don't have one. I can just do this and it creates a nice version. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool options for the equations up here, and you can create whatever you need to for your math classes. The customized ribbon. I do want to show you this before we get into the recorder to make sure that you realize where this is available. So if I'm going to go to my file, I'm going to go to options and customize ribbon. So this is similar to what I did for add-ins, except I'm going to customize ribbon this time. In my customize ribbon, I'm going to go to my main tab area, and in here, I'm going to scroll down to where I see recording. And so recording is what we're going to talk about next, but we want to make sure that this is checked, because if this isn't checked, you're not going to be able to do some of the next functions that we have available to us. So that is where you can customize your ribbon. So if you think that you're missing something, you can check it out there. But then when I go into recording, I have these really cool options available. So I can record a slideshow. I can go into forms. I can add a form into my slideshow. I can do screenshots, screen recordings. I can add in videos and audios, and then I can also export my PowerPoint from here. So if I do record slideshow, I can record from my current slide, or I can record from beginning. When I click on record from current slide, I have my presenter mode right here. My my screen, my other screen is showing what it would be projecting, but I can start recording in here and click record. And when I click record, it's actually going to record my voice and any markups that I do on the screen. So if I want to use my pen and I want to use in red, I can click on that, and then I can start using my mouse to make annotations on my screen. And so these are all saved. And normally, if I wasn't showing my video on here, I would have a little pop-up right here as well to show that I can actually see myself in here as well. You can turn this off. I can also turn my microphone off. And I can clear this out as well, so I can clear the recording. I have different settings that I can use. You want to start those settings before you actually start recording. So I'm going to hit stop right now. And I'm going to exit out of here. And so that recording that I just did, those markups are showing up on my screen. But if I save this as a show or export this to video, what I did and how I was talking will show up live time as I'm going through this slide. So this is a really cool tool that we have available to us now. If I'm saying, no, not going to use this, I can click on this. All I have to do is click on one of my lines and hit delete, and it's gone. Same with that recording down here in the corner, click on it, delete, it's gone. But I can also go back into my slide and I can click clear recordings on current slide, and they will all be gone. So that's some really nice options in here. So this is nice if you do want to create that PowerPoint slide show for your students, and because everything is self-paced, it's more self-paced for your students, you can add in recordings while you're talking about what is happening on your screen. I also have the option of doing a screenshot. So I'm going to get to forms in a moment, but I can do a screenshot. So if I go to this next blank slide that I have, I can say I want to do a screenshot. And I'm going to go to screen clipping. And I'm going to go into, oops, this. There we go. I'm just going to go to PowerPoint or Pear Deck, and that didn't work. I'll try that again. So I'm going to do screenshot, screen clipping, and I'm just going to, there we go. And I can select the area that I want to add into my slide. There it is. I get design area, my design ideas popping up in here as well. So I can move this around and adjust this as needed. It does say a screenshot. It says from a cell phone. It's not really a cell phone, but it does give me a little bit of alt text, which is nice for ADA. I can format this as well. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I do want to come back into recording and show you the screen recording. Screen recording, this is going to take a clip of what you're doing on your screen. So if I go to screen recording, I want to make sure that I have it all set up. Oops, stop that, close out of that. So I want my students to end up going to the San Diego Zoo because I want them to check out some of the zoo cameras that they have. So I'm going to come back in here, do screen recording. And it's going to come in here. Now I want to make sure that this is already set up before I start doing the screen recording. So I need to select an area. So I'm going to click select area, and I'm going to select my area. And my area is selected. Now I can hit record. And when I click record, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to direct my students to go to Animals and Planets, go to the live cams, and then select the animal they want to monitor. So it might be something with biology that I'm working on. So I can say, select a live cam. I'm going to go to the penguins because I love penguins. And it's going to take me in, and I'm going to be able to watch the penguins just stand around and do nothing, basically. But this is showing students what their habitats are like. It's giving them perspective on behavior. And so once I'm finished recording this, I'm going to stop recording. So it was 47 seconds long. It's going to process for a moment. And I can go back into my PowerPoint, and there's my recording. Now this recording, I can leave it on the slide. If I want to send this to somebody, it's just like an example of what they can do for something. I can copy this. Should be able to copy it. There we go. I have to right click on it, and I can save this media as something else to my desktop. So I'm going to save it, and then I can actually send that file to somebody else. So this is a nice option. Recording. So the other options are recording. We can add in a video. So if you already have a video on your desktop, you can add that in. Same with audio. The forms, I'm going to get to that now. So I can actually add a form into my PowerPoint. And so when I come in here, I already have a form that I've added in. Or I can come and add a new page and click Forms, and it's going to bring in the forms that I've already created. So I have all of these forms created. I can click Create New Form. I can create new quiz, and those quizzes and forms will be then embedded into this PowerPoint. So when I save this PowerPoint, I can save this PowerPoint like I normally would, but I can also save this as a show. So when I save this as a show, it's going to be a PowerPoint show instead of just PPX. So it's PPSX. And when students watch this, they're going to be watching it as a slideshow rather than edit mode. And so then students will be going through it, and they will hear the teacher if they've recorded anything, or if they have any videos inserted, they can watch those videos. If there's a form, they can watch or take the quiz, or even whatever it is that that the teacher put in the form. So this is a nice option. Now, if you don't want it to be interactive, you can export it as a video or publish it to stream. When you do one of these options, it's no longer interactive. So whatever's on the PowerPoint slide, it will stay on there and it will move to the next one, it'll move to the next one. And if you wanted students to do anything like answer a question from a form, they're not going to be able to do that. So those are the two different options with saving a recording. Okay, so PowerPoint resources, Microsoft Educator Center, once again, they have got a really great course on PowerPoint recorders, the flipped instruction with PowerPoint recorder. PowerPoint, their help and learning areas are always great as well. So Microsoft support great PowerPoint resources in their help and learning. And so at this point, are there any questions from anyone? Okay, so if there are no questions, I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for attending this webinar. As always, we are here to assist you in being successful. Do not hesitate to contact our help desk, help@k12.indy.us for support and virtual training inquiries. This is part of a series of webinars, and so there will be additional information coming out at later dates. So I think we can stop the recording now.